So today we're back with another Prager U video. This one is called Don't Follow Your Passion, which caught my attention because that seems pretty antithetical to the point of life. So, I don't know. I want to see where they go with this one because that sounds rather sad.
There are only two things I can tell you today that come with absolutely no agenda. The first is congratulations. The second is good luck. Everything else is what I like to call the dirty truth.
Well, that's not really true. I mean, don't foreign leaders usually call newly elected US presidents to congratulate them? Like, you don't think there's any attempt by them to, like, foster a mutually beneficial, prosperous relationship moving forward? Or at least for the foreign country's leader who called? Like, I don't know about that one.
Which is just another way of saying it's my opinion. And in my opinion, you have all been given some terrible advice. And that advice is this: follow your passion. Every time I watch the Oscars, I cringe when some famous movie star, trophy in hand, starts to deconstruct the secret of their success. It's always the same thing. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't have what it takes, kid. And the ever popular, never give up on your dreams. Look, I understand the importance of persistence and the value of encouragement, but who tells a stranger to never give up on their dreams without even knowing what it is they're dreaming? I mean, how can Lady Gaga possibly...
Who who takes some statement at complete face value and with no nuance? Like, obviously, if somebody says follow your dreams, you're gonna take nuance. Like, like if you're like if you don't have a like if you don't have legs, like like you're not gonna be like, oh, you're gonna win an Olympic medal in uh I don't know, some track sport. Like, I don't think anybody was saying there was no nuance to that statement. That seems like a straw man.
know where your passion will lead you? Have these people never seen American Idol? Year after year, thousands of aspiring American Idols show up with great expectations, only to learn that they don't possess the skills they thought they did. What's really amazing, though, is not their lack of talent. The world's full of people who can't sing. It's their genuine shock at being rejected. The incredible realization that their passion and their ability had nothing to do with each other.
So don't even try. And also, like, I mean, there's a lot you can say here. Like, also, I wouldn't just give up on your first shot. Like, that'd be like being like, you get rejected by one girl, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna be celibate for the rest of my life. Like, you're overreacting maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll say more on this later. I think I can speak on something else a little or better in a better spot.
Look, if we're talking about your hobby, by all means, let your passion lead you. But when it comes to making a living, it's easy to forget the dirty truth. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you won't suck at it. And just because you've
You might not, though.
earned a degree in your chosen field, it doesn't mean you're going to find your dream job. Dream jobs are usually...
All right, so this is what this is actually about. Like, um, this is just a medium to shit on going to college because, the conservatives don't want people going to college because then they have more skills, which means the capitalists they represent and captains of industry would have to pay the workers more. We can't have that. So, or more sinisterly, or in a more sinister manner, if you go to college, you might learn something. You might learn how, like, the rich people are screwing over the poor people, and they don't want you to know that. So, college is bad, apparently.
just that, dreams. But their imaginary existence just might keep you from exploring careers that offer a legitimate chance to perform meaningful work and develop...
Hold on, what does this guy consider a dream job? Like, name one dream job that isn't. I'm sure whatever dream job he names, I can find somebody who's actually employed in that field and gets paid to do the job. Like, this is incredibly narrow. People don't just invent jobs. Like, that's not what people use their imagination for usually. Like, it's probably real. They probably just don't want to acknowledge that, like, gender studies jobs exist. Like, you could become, like, a professor who teaches about gender studies, right? But they don't want that.
a genuine passion for the job you already have. Because here's another dirty truth: your happiness on the job has very little to do with the work itself.
What?
On dirty jobs, I remember a very...
Yes, it does. He probably just has no passion. Like, I don't know, if you're like, if you work for like a nonprofit in Africa and you feed the homeless, or not, I wouldn't, I don't know if they'd be homeless, but like, you know, hunger deprived citizens of like Ethiopia or something, like you're fulfilling the passion of helping people. Like, I don't even know what, I don't know, that sounds shallow.
A successful septic tank cleaner, a multimillionaire who told me the secret to his success.
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I don't know much about the septic tank industry, so maybe I'm wrong, but multi-millionaire, okay. Probably like the owner of the company of like a huge industry, maybe.
I looked around to see where everyone else was headed, he said, and then I went the opposite way. Then I got good at my work. Then I began to prosper, and then one day I realized I was passionate about other people's crap.
Okay. So you can't. First of all, I looked around to see where everyone else was headed. That doesn't even make sense. Like, no human alive just has a perfect, like, understanding or conceptualization of, like, labor trends. That's, like, that's. This guy just got lucky in his analysis. That's not, a, like, you can't just. That doesn't even work, because, like, everybody would imply, like, everybody. You can't, like. What? I don't. Not everybody goes into every, like, that's not. I don't even know what that means.
I've heard.
And wait, and hold on. Let's go back to if Then I began to prosper. Yeah, he's just reiterating the initial point of the video that like, you shouldn't follow some innate passion you might have. You should just see where you could be useful to someone. I get the gist that a lot of this video is just like, fill the roles the rich, you know, owners of the means of production need you to fill so that they can make more money. Don't worry about your own life. It's rather sad. Because obviously it goes both ways too. Like, a lot of people's jobs make them completely miserable and make them hate themselves. Like, people drink excessively so they can forget about work or cope better. Okay, I don't know.
I've heard that same basic story from welders, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, HVAC professionals,
All jobs you don't go to college for.
hundreds of other skilled.
Because, you know, everybody can just do that. Like, everybody can just be a plumber. There's no supply and demand isn't a thing anymore, I guess.
Tradesmen who followed opportunity, not passion, and prospered as a result. Consider the reality of the current job market. Right now, millions of people with degrees and diplomas are out there competing for a relatively narrow set of opportunities that polite society calls good careers.
Who is polite
Meanwhile,
society?
Employers are struggling to fill nearly 5.8 million jobs that nobody's trained to do. This is the skill.
Well, then they don't get. See, they just defer to. It's the interest of the employers. The employers say they have to be filled, so the workers better go fill those jobs. It's not like the workers can't have an opinion. They can't pursue jobs they want. No, they have to go be useful to the employers. Like, why do the employers own all the means of production? That seems a little. That doesn't seem fair. Like, they just get everything and the workers get nothing.
Skills gap. It's real, and its cause is actually very simple.
This is like when Joe Rogan complained, like, during COVID he couldn't go to like the bar or whatever. Like, well, he was like, oh, I want to go to the bar. I think that was him, and like it's like, so like his nightlife is more important than some worker's health. Like, that's basically what he's saying. It's just selfish.
When people follow their passion, they miss out on all kinds of opportunities they didn't even know existed.
First of all, yeah, because they're following their passion. Why they don't want to pay attention to stupid things. But also, why do you assume does nobody succeed in following their passion? Is that a thing now? I mean, okay.
When I was 16, I wanted to follow in my grandfather's footsteps. He was a skilled tradesman, could build a house without a blueprint. That was my passion, and I followed it for years. I took all the shop classes at school. I did all I could to absorb the knowledge and skill that came so easily to my granddad. Unfortunately, the handy gene is recessive. It skipped right over me, and I struggled mightily to overcome my deficiencies, but I couldn't. I was one of those contestants on American Idol who believed his passion was enough to ensure his success. One day, I brought home a sconce I had made in wood shop. Looked like a paramecium. After a heavy sigh, my granddad gave me the best advice I've ever received. He told me, Mike, you can still be a tradesman, but only if you get yourself a different kind of toolbox. At the time,
So, do these people like have emotion? Like, cause all right, this is getting beyond maybe the scope of this video, but like to me, like if you can't, like it would be unethical to have a child if like there's not a reasonable, like if you can't reasonably like pursue a lot of your passions and like you know like have passions. Like I feel like they're like fulfill your desires. Like I feel like that's why people make the arguments about like the ethics of like disabled people having children, which we can that's a self-serving arbitrary standard, so we can debate that. But yeah, like I feel like fulfilling your passions and like at least pursuing them, that's a big part of life. Like at least in Marxism, that's emphasized like an association in which the free development of each is necessary for the free development of all. Like reorganize your relationship to the means of production so you have more free time, more leisure time, right? Like I like if the point of life is to just make yourself useful, like I don't even like why was slavery wrong then? Like no trailblazers exist. Every role is already known. Like everything, a place for everything, everything in its place. I don't even know, man. At the end of the day, we'll just keep going.
this felt contrary to everything I believed about the importance of passion and persistence and staying the course. But of course, he was right, because staying the course, that only makes sense if you're headed in a sensible direction. And while passion is way too important to be without, it is way too fickle to follow around. Which brings us to the final dirty truth.
Might be an indictment of humanity
Never
or existence.
follow your passion, but always bring it with you.
Be useful to
Congratulations
someone.
again.
That's what this is.
And good luck. I'm Mike Rowe from MicroWorks for Prager University.
All right. So what did we learn? Well, we've learned that apparently you're not supposed to follow whatever naturally compels you or whatever passion you might have, and instead you're supposed to just, at least for work, you're supposed to just make yourself useful to whatever pays you the most. So, I don't really know about this. I guess the context of the video would be like, or for why this video is made is, like PragerU probably gets money from like big capitalist firms or like, big investors who own the means of production, and they need workers to fulfill those roles so they can make more money. And, it's hard to get workers when you're telling people to go follow your passion because they're probably not going to work in some lame industry then. So, yeah, I don't know what this guy's personal story is, but regardless, the role he's filling is to tell people to go serve the capitalists so that they can make more money and not follow your own passion, which is very tragic because you should follow your passion.